Welcome back to the 2-Minute Warning. Today I'm looking at the New York Football Giants and determining who I think they should draft in the upcoming 2021 NFL Draft with their 11th overall pick in the first round. But before getting into that topic, question for those of you viewing, who do you think the New York Giants should draft in the upcoming draft? They've addressed a lot in free agency, so the draft has been kind of narrowed down to what they really need, and there's not too much outside of the quarterback position that the Giants are desperately having a question mark about. So comment down below who you think they should draft in the upcoming draft. But getting into the topic, looking at the Giants overall, they've made a pretty good amount of moves in this offseason, in my opinion. They're stout in most places on their team. Joe Judge, I think he's turning out to be a pretty good coach for the Giants. Looking at their receiving core, you added Kenny Golladay. That's your final. You finally have a number one go up and get it type of receiver. Sterling Shepard, Darius Slayton, those guys are good, and that will be a great duo among that team. But Kenny Golladay, he's your number one guy. You needed a lockdown. Sterling Shepard, Darius Slayton, you can't have them being your number one. They're not 6'4" and going to go up and get it like Kenny Golladay. You also got John Ross. He never panned out to be what we thought he would be, breaking the 40-yard dash record. But you never know, the Giants could turn around. He's got plenty of speed, and injuries have held him back. So if he's healthy, we might see a John Ross you've never seen before. And then on the receiving core, you also have Evan Ingram and Kyle Rudolph. So there's 6 pretty reliable receivers on that Giants receiving core when healthy that Daniel Jones has to throw to. And I'm pretty stoked to see if Daniel Jones is going to go to the next level with this receiving core. Looking at the defense, there's a big question mark on Leonard Williams, their biggest pass rusher in this offseason, but your franchise tagged him, and then he worked out kind of a long-term deal with him. So Leonard Williams and Dexter Lawrence for now can hold down the pass rush that the Giants have. Looking at the secondary, adding Adoree Jackson was a big piece of this secondary. Now you got Adoree Jackson, James Bradbury, Logan Ryan, and Jabril Peppers. This is looking like a solid Giants team that, the pass rush isn't the best in the league by any means, but there's some star power on there that can hold their own. Secondary, I just named it, the Adoree Jackson addition was pretty good. The receiving core, adding Kenny Golladay, John Ross, Kyle Rudolph, that is a lot of star power as well. And of course, the biggest thing is getting back your top 3 running back in the NFL, Saquon Barkley. Him being healthy, I seriously think a fully healthy Saquon, not to say he needs to carry the Giants, but has a capability of carrying the Giants like Derrick Henry does the Titans. Like I said, I don't think he will have to have that type of role and have to deal with that type of load to take this team to the playoffs, but I think he's fully capable of doing it. So the only question mark is, the offensive line. You got Nate Soldier. You drafted an offensive line in the first round last year. Didn't turn out to be the top guy you wanted. Daniel Jones, he's a question mark. It may be adding to that pass rush, but outside of that, this Giants team overall is extremely stout and has no huge gaps, in my opinion. Looking at the draft at number 11 overall, a lot of people before, free agents, like they needed to draft a receiver, maybe Devonta Smith, Jalen Waddle will fall to 11. You need to go cornerback, maybe Caleb Farley, Patrick Surtain, J.C. Horn. Maybe we'll look at them at number 11 overall. But after adding an athletic Adoree Jackson and a get up and go get it type of receiver in Kenny Golladay, it wouldn't hurt to add a Devonta Smith or Patrick Surtain by any means, but it's almost like they're not a necessity as much as they used to. I seriously think this Giants team does not need to add to the receiving core. I like Kenny Golladay, I like Sterling Shepard, I like Darius Slayton, I like John Ross, I like Evan Ingram, I like Kyle Rudolph. There's just so many options on that team that Daniel Jones has to throw to. And a speedy Devonta Smith won't hurt if they go that route. Or Jalen Waddle. It's not going to hurt the Giants by any means, but I just think there's other priorities the Giants can look at. Secondary, same thing. If they want to go corner, fine. It's not going to hurt the secondary. It'll make them it's already one of the better ones in the league. But if you go out there and get a Patrick Surtain or Caleb Farley, it can make the argument to be one of the best in the league. So you can't go wrong being the best, having the best position on your football team amongst the league by any means. But to me, if I'm the Giants, I'm looking to fill a gap, and to me that would be in a linebacker position. This just screams Micah Parsons. You really want a guy that could go in there and lead this front seven, lead this defense, and be a captain on this football team that is really just going to take this defense to the next level. They got the star power to do it. They just need a guy to lead them. I'm not going to say Micah Parsons is going to come in and lead a NFL team his rookie year. These guys have had 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years of experience. They're not going to listen to some rookie, but it has been done before. Look at Chase Young on the Washington football team. He's the bread and butter to that defense. Micah Parsons, completely different player, different position, but I'm just saying it is possible, and I think he doesn't have to do it as soon as Chase Young, but that is the role I want to see Micah Parsons fill for this New York Giants football team. And a Caleb Farley, Patrick Surtain, I'm not going to argue against that. But my number one position would 100% be Micah Parsons if he falls to 11. And that might be hard. You know, in Atlanta Falcons as defensive desperate, they might go for Micah Parsons as number 4 overall, and you have to scratch that completely. But there's other options out there. After Micah Parsons, I think my priority would go offensive line, given that one of the top guys is there. Penei Sewell, there's no way he falls to 11. There's just no way. But a Rashawn Slater has the possibility of falling down, and I like Rashawn Slater a lot for this New York Giants football team. Like I said, your offensive line isn't awful. You got Nate Soldier, a veteran, solid left tackle, you took a offensive lineman in the first round last year, and he didn't turn out to be the great guy you wanted. But Joe Judge is a good coach, and I think you can still coach him up to be a starter that is worthy of being a big name on this team. And I think Rashawn Slater could just go on this offensive line and be an immediate impact because you could play the position 1 through 5. You could go interior, or he could be a top tackle, and that is why he'd be so useful. Useful to the New York Giants football team. And I think Micah Parsons, that's my top guy to captain your defense. Number 2 would be Rashawn Slater. If he drops, both of those guys, you need a little bit of luck in dropping, but I think there's a good chance one of the two are available at number 11. So Rashawn Slater, you can't give Daniel Jones enough protection. You gave him the receiving core, you gave him the running back, and he has an offensive line that he can work with, but who's to say it can't get better? That would be my top thing, Rashawn Slater 100% after Micah Parsons. Then I'd start looking at the secondary. Yeah, pass rush, that is an option at number 11 overall. You do kind of need to help out Dexter Lawrence and Leonard Williams, and I'm just kind of throwing Dexter Lawrence out there, but really we know Leonard Williams is the key guy there, and he's almost, I don't want to say alone, but if he wasn't on the team, the Giants would have almost no pass rush. If Dexter Lawrence was on the team, they'd still have Leonard Williams and hold their own. So to me, a Kwity Paye, a Jalen Phillips, a Gregory Rousseau, that would be my number 3 option, a defensive end, to update this pass rush and get them going again. And you got one of the better secondaries. You got a decent pass rush, but who's to say if you get a Kwity Paye, it's not one of the best pass rushes to me. So again, just to reiterate, Micah Parsons is my number 1 pick. Number 2 would be Rashawn Slater, and then number 3, whatever defensive end you like. There's a lot of debate of who's the best one, and number 11 overall, that is kind of high to go defensive end, because I think a lot of these guys are projected to be, picked at 14, 15, mid to high teens. Number 11 overall would be, a reach to go for one of these guys that early, but if that's your biggest hole on your team, if that's what the New York Giants believe they need the most, go for it. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about the best player available. Address what you need, and a Kwity Paye, Jalen Phillips, Gregory Rousseau can really help out this defense. So then after that, I'd look at the secondary, Patrick Surtain, Caleb Farley, J.C. Horn, then get Adoree Jackson and James Bradbury some depth. But like I said, that secondary can hold their own. I just think this Giants team is ready to win now. The biggest question mark is going to be Daniel Jones. Whatever route they go in the NFL draft, there is no excuse for how the Giants turn out this year. Right now, on paper, this should be a playoff team, especially given the fact the division they're in the NFC East. Now, I don't think the NFC East will have 4 teams all below 500 like they were last year, but I still think it'll probably be the worst division. So it will be a little more competition, but on paper, this Giants team needs to make the playoffs. Top 3 running back, top 10 receiving core, top 10 secondary, and that's being conservative. These are top 8, top 7, top 6 receiving cores and secondaries. A pass rush that needs to be fixed up just a little bit, and the offensive line, but it's nothing that is just god-awful that the Giants can't get around, can't hold their own. This is a playoff team and it needs to be a playoff team. Daniel Jones has to prove that he is the guy. I think he can be, especially the help he's given. He better be, but in the draft could definitely help him out or the defense out, but it is no excuse. Even if this draft guy, whoever you take in the first round, turns out to be a bust, this team, it's not enough of an excuse to be a reason why you don't make the playoffs. Right now, they need to make playoffs. The guy you take in the draft, he's just an extra piece that can maybe get you a win in the playoffs. It might be the reason you go even further in playoffs. But overall, my final assumption would be Micah Parsons number 1, Rashawn Slater number 2, number 3 defensive end, and Kwity Paye, Jalen Phillips, Gregory Rousseau, whoever it is, take the pick. Number 4, I'd go secondary, Caleb Farley, Patrick Surtain, J.C. Horn. I know I'm naming a lot of names. Now I'm getting my 3rd, 4th, 5th option. And then 5th, I'd probably go receiving core. Then I might be looking at another offensive lineman, and then who knows, maybe explore Trey Lance. Yeah, I know that's not a good idea. Daniel Jones is way too early, but I'm just saying, if a big name's still on the board at 11, you have to at least look at it. But like I said, that's plan Z if somehow, some way, all my other guys fell through. But let me know what you guys think in the comments. I'm pretty confident Micah Parsons, or Rashawn Slater, would just take this team to a whole new level. They're already up there in talent on paper, but I really think these guys would really be just the cherry on top to make this team a solidified playoff team. Like I said, comment down below what you guys think. Who should they take number 11 overall? And I also want to know, do you guys think Daniel Jones is the future of the New York Giants? Thanks for watching, guys. 2-1 warning.